World News in 5.
Right now.
News and developments making headlines around the world in 5 minutes. World News in 5. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Good day to all of our listeners here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. This is World News in 5 and I'm your host, Steph Vicente. United States President Donald Trump says a preliminary agreement to end the war with Iran has already been signed, with full details expected to be released soon. Speaking at the G7 summit alongside French President Emmanuel Macron, the BBC reports U.S. President Trump described the deal as complete and very powerful. U.S. officials say the Strait of Hormuz is expected to reopen on Friday, the same day the agreement is set to be formally signed in Geneva. U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance said the initial memorandum is brief and outlines a general framework with more detailed negotiations to follow. Under the agreement, Iran is expected to commit to regional stability and provide verifiable assurances that it will not develop nuclear weapons. Officials say sanctions relief will depend on Iran meeting its obligations during the next phase of talks. The deal also extends the current ceasefire for 60 days, allowing both sides to negotiate a final, more comprehensive agreement. In other news overseas, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he and United States President Donald Trump do not always agree following a new memorandum of understanding between Washington and Tehran. Speaking at a Monday press conference, the CNN reports Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu described the differences as normal, saying disagreements can happen even among close allies. He stressed that while President Trump leads the United States, he remains responsible for safeguarding Israel's national security interest. Prime Minister Netanyahu largely avoided discussing details of the agreement, instead highlighting what he called Israel's military gains against Iran and in the broader Middle East. He reiterated that Iran will not be allowed to develop nuclear weapons under his leadership, with or without a deal in place. The Israeli Prime Minister also signaled that Israeli forces will remain in key areas including southern Lebanon, Gaza, and Syria for as long as necessary. Despite his confidence, Prime Minister Netanyahu acknowledged uncertainty about the final terms of the agreement while emphasizing his experience in managing relations with the United States. And finally, the European Union has formally begun the accession process for Ukraine and Moldova, marking a major step toward potential membership in the bloc. Al Jazeera reports the move launches years of required political and economic reforms, even as Ukraine continues to defend itself against Russia's ongoing invasion. Ukrainian Deputy Prime Minister Taras Kachka attended a conference in Luxembourg to start negotiations on aligning the country with EU laws and standards. Kiev sees membership as both a long-term security guarantee and a pathway toward deeper integration with the West. Still, some EU members have raised concerns about Ukraine's readiness and the risk tied to its active conflict with Russia. The process had faced delays due to opposition from Hungary, but its new leadership recently lifted its veto, allowing talks to move forward. Meanwhile, Moldova is also advancing its bid despite continued efforts by Russia to maintain influence in the country. And that concludes today's edition of World News in 5. For Radyo Pilipinas World Service, this has been Steph Vicente. Good day and stay safe, everyone.
World News in 5.
Right now.
News and developments making headlines around the world in 5 minutes. World News in 5. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.